Now to Democratic Congressman Khanna, a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus that's demanding an agreement on the big social spending plan before it will back the infrastructure bill. Congressman, as we've noted, President Biden, in his talking to House Democrats on Friday, said to progressives that this number, $3.5 trillion, is going to have to come down. And here's how the head of your Progressive Caucus, how she reacted to that. Take a look.
It's going to be tough. We're going to have to come down in our number, and we're going to have to do that work. So we're going to get to work and see what we can get to.
So let me ask you the same question I asked Mr. Richmond. How do you get down to that lower number? Because there are two ways. One is that you push forward fewer proposals, but back them more fully, or you keep all of the proposals, but you give them sunset dates, which, as we both know, is an old D.C. budget gimmick.
Chris, we can front load the benefits and have less years, but ultimately the president is an honest broker. He's going to bring all the stakeholders together, and I trust his judgment to get a compromise. Let me just put one thing in perspective. Donald Trump left us with $7 trillion in debt in his term. His vision was cut taxes to grow the economy, and we had overseas wars. We have a different vision. We do want to spend money, invest to grow the economy. We believe that investing in the American people in a modern economy is the way to grow to growth, and that's our vision.
Let's talk about other ways that you could cut the expense here. One of them, Joe Manchin, actually two of them, Joe Manchin has talked about. One is means testing. Instead of giving these benefits to everyone, regardless of income level, say they phase out, gets lower, and eventually are cut off for people above a certain income level. There's also talk, which is not included in current ideas, for a work requirement for people getting that child tax credit. What do you think about those as ways to target these benefits to people?
Well, it depends what we're talking about. If we're talking about a child tax credit that's already phased out, earned income tax credit that's already phased out. But there's some things, Chris, that we have to do together as Americans. I mean, should we really have segregated classes in public school? When I went to first grade, you had blue-collar kids there, you had rich kids there. So when we're talking about having every American get the chance to have preschool, which they already have in countries like France, I don't think that ought to be means tested. When we're talking about everyone should get to go to some community college because they're going to need skills for the 21st century. Senator Manchin says we have 11 million jobs that are unfilled. How are we going to get people credentialed? I don't think that should be means tested. And in terms of the senator's proposal, I think we can compromise on what does require means testing and what doesn't.
What do you think of Joe Manchin?
I respect him. I've been down to Beckley, West Virginia. He was deeply gracious. He cares deeply about his state. He, frankly, has always been transparent. We disagree, but he has been clear about what his views are, and I think we can come to an agreement. But he's a straight shooter. All right.
Let's talk about something that he has shot straight about. He says that this social spending program needs to come down dramatically. He's saying not $2 trillion, $1.5 trillion. And here was something he said this week. Take a look.
I don't fault any of them who believe that they're much more progressive and much more liberal. God bless them. And all they need to do is we have to elect more, I guess, for them to get theirs, elect more liberals.
Does Senator Manchin have a point? Because one of the things he's basically saying is, look, you don't have a mandate. Joe Biden didn't have a mandate. The Democrats in Congress didn't have a mandate for this kind of enormous social spending. If you want to govern like FDR with a New Deal, if you want to govern like LBJ with a Great Society, then win the kinds of supermajorities that FDR and LBJ had and that Joe Biden and all of you don't have.
Chris, I don't think Senator Manchin and I are that far apart. Again, in context, Trump's spending, which folks aren't talking about, was $7 trillion. This is $3.5 trillion over 10 years. And here's what I would say to Senator Manchin, having been to his state. You know who created the wealth over the last year, where all the wealth is going? It's in my district. I mean, Silicon Valley has done terrific over the pandemic. And I'm saying, why don't we tax some folks who've made millions of dollars with the digitization of the economy so we can help so many parts of this country, rural America, Alaska, places that have been left behind, frankly, places in West Virginia that need investment in industrialization, in the new jobs, in childcare. I think Senator Manchin and I, if we sat down, could come to an agreement. This is about economic growth. It's about opportunity in the 21st century. And we don't believe that just having tax cuts and overseas wars is the way to get there.
Why is there such a split inside the Democratic Party? Just in the House, in your body, the House moderates were saying, look, give us a vote this past week on infrastructure and we will support, we'll negotiate, but we'll support a social spending plan, and you progressives wouldn't trust them. Why not?
Chris, honestly, there wasn't a split. We agreed to do what Joe Biden wants. You know, I chaired Bernie Sanders' campaign. Medicare for all isn't in here. Free college isn't in here.
Congressman, time out here. The fact is that Nancy Pelosi, wait a minute, promised the moderates a vote this past week, first on Monday, then on Thursday, and she said to them, I'm going to give it to you, and the Progressive Caucus refused to give it to them. Why didn't you trust them that if you passed their plan, they would vote for your plan?
What I said, what the Progressive Caucus has said, is we'll do what the president wants. Chris, I didn't get one phone call from the White House saying that we want the infrastructure bill to pass first. I didn't get one call from the Speaker's office or for the Majority Leader's office. The reality is 95% of the party has been with President Biden. He wants both bills. Those are his bills. He wrote those bills, and that is his vision. His vision is we want people to have child care. We want people to have community college. We want folks to get dental and vision. And I will follow the president on the compromise.
So are you
yes,
saying,
you have 10 House Democrats.
I got 30 seconds left here, sir. Don't mean to interrupt, but are you saying that the White House wanted these two bills linked? Because there have been reports that some top White House people, including White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, were saying to progressives, hey, stand your ground. It's okay to link these two bills.
Ron never said that to me, but they never said that we have to vote for the infrastructure bill. And what I heard directly from the president is he wants both bills. I think that has always been his vision. And I'll tell you this, at least I can speak for myself. I would not have contradicted the president's vision. What I have said consistently, when most progressives have said, is we want to do what the president wants. And I think the House moderates thought Joe Biden's a moderate. He agrees with us. Actually, this time he didn't. He agreed that we want both bills.
Congressman Khanna, thank you. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll be tracking how the negotiations go over the Biden agenda in the weeks to come.